A locker room renovation? It doesn't exactly sound like the most revolutionary story, right? But what happened at Union College is actually a huge lesson in how you can turn a simple project into a real lasting partnership. It's about a pretty fundamental shift, away from just buying a product to building a true collaboration. So, let's dive in. So let's start with the big question. You see these amazing, multi-million dollar locker rooms, and you just have to wonder, right? Do they really win championships? Well, the short answer is no. Of course not. A flashy locker room isn't going to score the winning touchdown. But see, that's kind of missing the bigger picture. What it can do is help build the culture that wins championships. It creates the kind of environment where that winning attitude can actually grow. And that, right there, is where the Union College story really begins. Okay, so this whole thing at Union College, it didn't start with some big, grand vision for a new facility. Nope. It started with a really annoying, persistent problem. A problem that was, and I mean this literally, happening right under a sheet of ice. So get this. The football team's locker room was stuck directly underneath the hockey rink. Just think about that for a second. You've got constant moisture, right? Dripping down. This wasn't just a small leak. Their metal lockers were actually rusting. The air quality was terrible. It was basically the exact opposite of a high-performance environment. And because of all of that, Union wasn't just looking for a new coat of paint. They didn't want some flashy, quick fix. They needed a real solution, something that would actually fix the problem at its core and, last for more than just a couple of years. And this right here, this is where the story gets really interesting, because the whole focus shifted. It went from, hey, let's sell them some new lockers to, wait a minute, let's figure out what's really going on here. It was about finding a solution that was so much more than just a new material. Okay, so the first step was recommending a material called phenolic. You might be wondering, what the heck is that? Well, think of it as this super tough, high-pressure laminate that's basically built to fight moisture. It's perfect for a damp, tough environment like this one. But, and this is a big but, the material itself was only part of the puzzle. And this is what really made it all click. The solution wasn't just about the lockers, it was holistic. It wasn't enough to just bring in the right stuff. The real breakthrough, the game changer, was actually talking to Union's own HVAC team to fix the airflow. So the whole redesign wasn't just to look good, it was engineered from the ground up to actually work. And you know what? That first project was a huge success. And it changed everything. It was the foundation for a much, much bigger relationship. It just goes to show you how doing one thing right can build a level of trust that spreads across an entire athletic department. That success created this incredible ripple effect. First, the football locker room gets done. Then, boom, the phone rings. It's the basketball and volleyball teams. Then after that, it's the men's and women's hockey teams. With every single project, the trust just grew and grew. And it all led to the ultimate sign of that trust, getting invited to be part of their new 2025 hockey center. I mean, that's not a sales cycle. That's a real relationship being built, one fix at a time. And this quote from Grace Parker, who was the project lead and also a Union grad, which is so cool, it just says it all. She said, "Every time we worked with them, the trust deepened. These locker rooms needed to mean something." You hear that? It wasn't just a construction job. It was about creating a space that actually meant something to people. So that brings us to the why of the design itself. The goal here was to create so much more than just a room where athletes change their clothes. It was about flipping the script and putting their needs, their entire daily life really, front and center. And you can see that thinking in all the little details. I mean, simple stuff, right? Like putting in outlets so they can charge their phones and laptops between class and practice. Or creating quiet corners so they could actually get some studying done. And then the bigger things, like using these beautiful cherry wood finishes and laser cutting the team logos right into the lockers. That stuff isn't an accident. It's all done on purpose to make that space feel like it's theirs. And that's really the core of it, isn't it? Every single choice was made to support the total experience of being a student athlete. All those long hours, the studying, the training, the competing. It's not just about game day. It's about every single day in between. So what's the real takeaway from this whole Union story? Well, it all boils down to this one powerful idea, what we can call the collaborator advantage. It's about this fundamental difference in how you approach a problem, a difference that separates a decent outcome from a truly great, long-lasting partnership. Let me break it down like this. You have a vendor and you have a partner. A vendor is there to push a product. A partner is there to solve a problem. See the difference? A vendor asks, "So, what do you want to buy?" But a partner asks, "What do you actually need?" One just delivers an order, the other, they build a relationship. That's the whole ballgame right there. So, in the end, this was never really just a project for Union College. It was a genuine partnership. And it didn't come from some slick sales pitch. It grew the old-fashioned way, through conversations, through finding real solutions, and from this incredible shared pride in what they built together. And that's really the final thought I want to leave you with. Next time you're facing a big facility challenge, maybe stop flipping through catalogs. Maybe the first step isn't looking for a product, but looking for a partner, a collaborator.